I cracked open that Black Mesa.
Oh, I also played Black Mesa. I didn't think to mention it because it's Half-Life.
Well, guess what? I have
What's up?
memories of my brother playing Half-Life, and I played a little bit when I was a kid, but for the most part, I haven't played Half-Life.
Oh, okay. So this is a relatively new experience.
This is a new experience. I'm
All
trying to
right.
catch up and find out why, what's the deal with Gordon Freeman, and how did Steam and Valve become the owners of the realm of PC with this
Well,
franchise?
he's late for work. He's got a PhD from MIT.
He's 26.
He's got big nerd glasses.
He cut the
And
he cut the ponytail.
Yeah, and he wears a big dumb HEV suit.
You know, the HEV suit is so much cooler than the dumb nerdy lab coats that everyone's got to wear. And all those dumb nerds are like insufferable. And the cops are actually, the security guys are actually the only cool guys you could hang out with.
Yeah, the scientists in Half-Life were always like the actual worst.
Like they're actually
They're waiting
going
for you, Gordon, down in the test chamber.
And it's the same person talking to himself for the whole game, so they're all just going.
Yeah, you're pretty much killing it. Yeah, the security guards, the Barneys, they're all right.
Yeah,
They're okay.
The security guards are all right indeed. I enjoyed hanging out with them.
How
So
far'd you get?
I got to chapter 5. So
Is that pre or post military?
pre.
Okay, because
So-
once the military shows up, the game changes fairly dramatically.
Certainly. But what we got is we got our making our way through things and full introduction. So the Black Mesa, of course, being the remake of Half-Life 1 Source Engine, is coming with all kinds of Source Engine foibles. And it
Hey, you can
is
pick up this thing and throw it. Holy shit!
Yeah, that's cool, right? But then like climbing that ladder, good luck not dying.
Oh, dude.
Good luck not dying trying to climb a
So-
ladder.
So here's the deal, right? In Black Mesa, they added all these features to ladder climbing to make it stickier. In the original, you couldn't like hit use to like lock onto the ladder. You would just like
You have to walk into it.
Worked on like Quake rules,
Yeah.
I guess. And it could be a little finicky. Their attempt to fix the ladder to make it stickier has made it kill me so many more times.
So now you can walk into the ladder or you can press the use to snap to it, right? But when you're pressing up and you're climbing up the ladder, there are moments when it'll decide that actually up is now down. And there are moments where you hit the top and up will then switch to becoming down.
The one that gets me the most often is that when I go to jump off the ladder, I'm not high enough on the ladder, and I just jump this pitiful shit amount, just like.
So there's that, right? And there's the other times when you look away while holding onto the ladder and attempt to jump off, but then you're pressing up to get that extra momentum moving forward in the air. But what ends up happening is you actually end up climbing back down the ladder and then jumping off beneath the platform you wanted to get on. So you're holding up, and then you're climbing upwards, and then you turn around, right? And then you go, great, now I want to jump off. So you hold up, and then you press the jump button. But by continuing to hold up at the top of the ladder, that up now reverts to a climb down. Because holding up all the way to the top and then pressing it makes up become down.
So let me ask you: you're using a controller on this?
I am.
Okay, so that's so you're running into like 5 problems. The controller is only one of them. Problem 1 is ladders in old games are fucked. They're particularly old PC games. A lot of those ladders were bad. 2 is Half-Life's ladders are bad. 3 are Source Engine ladders are bad. And 4 is the implementation to fix those problems in Black Mesa is not great. And then after that, most of the work seemed to have gone in making it play good with mouse and keyboard and not controller.
Yeah. There's those, I go into depth talking about controller, mouse, keyboard stuff while we're playing it. So no need for me to repeat all of that here, but I'm playing with my preferred method right now.
So let me ask you, how does Black Mesa hit you? Like, how do you feel about it?
Well, I can feel how it's dated, but I also
Mhm.
know that, and I'm able to go in with my, like, I guess, like, whatever mid aughts brain,
Yeah.
and just kind of assume, like, okay, let's pretend you're playing this as just an old PC first person shooter for the first time, like you did back in the day, and
Hmm.
I expect the design to not, you know, contain a lot of the modern conveniences, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm enjoying it. I'm having a lot of fun with that, you know, with that first part especially, and I really do like what's going on most for the most part. What was rough and like this is something that I continue to be concerned about as I'm playing through this is that, you know, well, whatever, you play something on your own and you do stuff until you figure it out, and that's it. You do
Yeah.
stuff, you know, and live, and then you're like, okay, not figuring out what I'm supposed to be looking at right now, because
Hmm.
the concept of like god rays and shit that we have taken for granted in modern
Doesn't
context
exist.
doesn't exist, right? So there are generally lights to guide you, uh, but things are not always as obvious as you would expect them to be in modern
In
games.
today's world.
Exactly, right? So, for example, there's a moment early on where you have to pick up, I think it's either an eyeball or a handprint scanner off the ground and put it back into a socket on the wall,
Hmm.
but it's actually a piece of just computer junk on the floor amongst all kinds of source engine computer
All
junk.
kinds of garbage. Yeah.
And so your eyes just wouldn't look at that as anything significant. You would just go, it's just another piece of physics, you know?
Yeah. See, that is, I believe, one of the new ones that was added for Black Mesa, because the original game had no physics of any kind. Like
Right.
you couldn't pick up items at all.
So, you know, that's one of those moments where I go, oh my God, like, what? Why would I notice this piece of junk more than others, right? Um,
Hmm.
and I kind of, and like another possibility was like, I fortunately didn't have a problem with it, but in a moment where you have to pick up a valve and insert it into a thing, like it's kind of just laying on the wall in an area where again there's lots of physics to interact with and junk lying around. It's
The
not
irony,
particularly special.
the irony is that those sections were way easier to figure out back when the game looked shittier,
Yeah,
because there was no clutter, and seeing a random item lying on the floor was like, oh, what the fuck is that?
yeah. So
Because everything was totally barren.
yeah, and you know, folks, I see. Yeah, maybe you're just blind, Wooly. Maybe, like, maybe my powers of observation suck. Right? It is what it is. But I'm just telling you that, like, it still was something that I encountered. That I was like, there are moments where I was like, I'm stupid. I'm not observant enough, and I'm not seeing what
Mhm.
I'm supposed to see here. Right? So
It's also a weird place in that it's a remake of a game from '98 that I almost feel like they assume you beat and played back in '98.
perhaps, right? You know, one of the ones that like, you know, right off the jump like happened was and again, this is I'm just talking about these little bits, but there's a lot that I enjoyed. But one of the things was like literally the first room where you have to, you know, turn the fucking machine on before everything blows up, right?
Yeah.
And so I walked up the ladder and then I, you know, hit the switch and then the machine turns on and I'm looking at the machine, right? But when I walked up the ladder, like the cage with the whole sliding mechanism, I
Hmm.
walked past that. I was just looking at the large machine. I didn't pay attention to the cage on the left, you know?
Hmm.
So then when the cage came down and then there was an extra component that you slide into the thing, again, I that was not really called to my attention in a way. I didn't pay attention to it. And they were talking about now push the contraption in. So it was something in the subtitles. I believe Reggie was talking at the time, so that was a part of that as well. It just like it's not I'm not
You're,
saying
you're
it's the
dealing
the
you're
game's
dealing with
fault.
games made you have to remember the time when this came out. Like that came out in '98. That was one of the golden childs of that year,
Yeah.
right? Metal Gear, Ocarina, and Half-Life, basically. But like the frankly obnoxious hand-holding, highlighted, arrow pointing shit that we deal with currently had not been implemented into games.
For sure.
So like it kind of worked out well, because before I was LPing almost everything, I couldn't stand all that shit. I fucking hated it so much because it was always so obvious, right? Now that I'm playing games for an audience a lot, I appreciate that they're treating my attention like a moron, because I wasn't paying attention for a second. I was looking at chat, or I was talking to somebody else.
No, that's it, you know. And I mean, again, these are things that are not even thoughts that occur to you when you're just playing it by yourself, because you just walk around until it's there. Oh, there it is, and then you just progress, you know. And the time frame that it between, like, wait, what am I looking for? And not like if there's like even 30 seconds of wait, what am I looking at? Right, that's 30 seconds too long, you know. And like you in real life, if that were 45, it wouldn't have been noticed. So it's just one of those things. And I was like,
the main thing for Half-Life is that it was the first of the FPS games that had like a lot of scripting and a lot of dialogue.
Yeah.
So the fact that you had a character tell you to push it into the machine at all was like, holy shit, there's a person talking to me. It was very similar to the feeling that you got playing Metal Gear the first time, where, oh my god, this voice act, Jesus Christ.
And here, you know, and then in the end, it's like one of those bits where I'm kind of just like, well, you know, let's like, if I'm really just not observant and too dumb to like figure this stuff out instantly, I'm not suddenly gonna get not dumb. So this is just gonna continue to be a thing, you know? So I'm just like, for what it's worth, like, yeah, if I'm dumb at this, then I'm gonna continue to be dumb at it, and I'm gonna try my best to not have it interrupt progress. But you know, it's gonna happen whenever there's parts that, like, as you just mentioned, you kind of possibly just missed what the game was sort of, you know, like expecting you to do if it wasn't super clearly pointed at and such. But fortunately, it didn't happen too much, right? And if you go watch it, you're hearing about me talk about it right now, but if you go watch it, I don't think it ended up being that big of a problem. I think it happened like a couple times, but for the most part, it ended up being fine.
Back in the old days, it's like, I can't figure out what to do. It was fucking figure it out or die, I guess.
Yeah, pretty much. Or just keep playing, you know? There's no pressure to figure it out within 60 seconds or whatever the case. So, but you know, beyond that, like, I didn't mean for that whole thing to be a whole, like, this is what I didn't like part, because it's not. It's just describing, like, my own mistakes that happened in the course of what I was doing. What I wanted to get to was the rad shit that I loved. Like, that crowbar is fucking awesome. I fucking love that crowbar.
Dude, it's so you finally got there. You're 22 years late, but you finally get why people give a shit about that crowbar.
It's so good. Like,
it's so good.
The moment you pull it out and then you're like, okay, this is the logo. This is the biggest deal. It's the item that he's seen with all the time. But why? And then you swing it and the DPS comes out. And you go, oh my god, this is amazing.
It swings a million times a second.
Like,
and it makes a super loud clank noise.
Yeah, and when you whiff, you get punished for it, right? So if you see a headcrab trying to jump at you and you just start holding it preemptively and hoping for the best, that's going to kill you. Not kill you. So you're going to take hits that you don't need to take because you got to whiff and recover. But on contact, it's bap, 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 bap. So
it's so good.
It's you know, and like literally there was 2 enemies that spawned in for the first time, and it was like, I don't know what you are, but I'm swinging at you, and you died before I could find out. Like, literally, one of those green blaster dudes, it was just like,
Vortigons.
Right? Yeah. One of those green blaster dudes spawns in, and it's just like, hello, what the fuck? All right, okay, anyway, moving on. You know, there's like a couple of moments of like, there's a new thing, Now it's dead. I wonder what it does.
Yeah, you can actually run out of ammo in Half-Life depending on, if accuracy and whatnot. But what do I do? Oh, just use the fucking crowbar, man.
Yeah. So, and that's the other thing, right? Ammo conservation. I didn't know whether this was going to be an ammo conservation game or not.
It's not. It's just if you really fuck it up.
You're not getting a ton of it, though. You're not getting a ton of it. You definitely can run out of your shit, At no point was I walking around with like a fuck ton of shotgun shells. Like
once the military shows up to like help you guys, you get in a situation where they'll give you ammo more often, or you'll find it on dead bodies.
Cool. So when you when you end up using the fucking crowbar in a lot of these situations, like you pretty much want to almost just like use the moment of their spawning in to sprint up to the glow and then just start holding the button,
Yeah, it's a great fucking crowbar.
Yeah. So that's fun. When
did you get that fucking did you get the submachine gun?
No, wait. I think I did. I got a machine gun. I don't know what kind of machine gun I got.
It's the most laughable fucking bullshit non-existent gun that's ever existed. It's a MP5, and it's like exactly an MP5. They just stole the model, and it has a grenade launcher on it.
Okay.
Which is something that doesn't exist, because what the fuck are you doing with that shit?
One thing that was like notably like I was like, ooh, Truff was the turrets. Those turrets fucking wreck you, and you got to take some hits to deal with them, at least until you have something that can blow them up immediately. Because lobbing a grenade over to one is like, depends on where it is, I suppose. But
you're talking about the one that was like poking down from the ceiling,
on the staircase, right? There was one.
Yeah,
there was the first one you run into. I just ran past it, and then you go up the staircase, and then there's one on the fucking staircase shooting both ways, and it's like, that's an ugly one. It's nice that you're making friends. You know that these friends are not long for this world, because even if you were to get as far as you possibly could with them, you'll probably end up having to make some kind of jump where they won't follow you. You know. So at one point I had a full party. I had a nerd and two fucking security guards.
Yeah, I know the exact time you're talking about. That's like, you feel empowered. You're like, yeah, we got this.
And then we get to then we get to a ladder, and they're like, all right, we'll stay here. You go ahead. We'll be fine. I'm like, will ya? So yeah, I just feeling really good about that. Loving that you get two options with your grenades. You can throw the grenade or you can roll it.
That's new, by the way.
Really cool.
That did not exist back in the day.
That's awesome. It's just like, that's exactly what I want in everything. Is sometimes that's a close quarter situation. I want to just roll it right over there, But at the same time, the deceptive explosion range is,
they explode.
It's a lie. The graphic for the explosion is like the size of, I don't know,
a couple basketballs.
Yeah, maybe, right? Like
a fridge, maybe.
A really a little tiny desk,
Yeah.
But then the actual impact is a massive box. It's like two cars.
And the other thing is that applies to all the explosives. That applies to the barrels, the boxes.
Yes. All the explosives are a lie. They do not. They hurt you way larger than the visuals indicate. So
way big, larger.
Yeah, you gotta and yeah, shrapnel. But I'm just not used to video games having an explosion that goes into an invisible. It's usually more clear by the visual. In most cases, right?
Hey, let me ask you: were you surprised at the amount of platforming that's in the game?
I was. We had an area where you have to jump on those hanging cranes, and I was kind of just like, that's asking for precision in a I guess a game that I wouldn't think would be about that type of precision. But yeah,
there's a lot of platforming. in Half-Life 1.
Hmm.
And that's why I don't know if you took a close look at your options, but since you're playing with the controller, you probably had crouch jump turned on to automatic.
No, I didn't see an option to make that automatic, but I do.
Okay,
No, we heard about the crouch jumping mechanic,
so
and
are you manually crouch jumping or what?
I'm not main no because crouching is it's L3 and it's
Mhm.
not a toggle.
Okay, then you definitely are using the automatic crouch jumping because uh crouching it's a quirk of the original Half-Life engine that's so fucking goofy. In that, so say you jump straight up, right? When you crouch, even though your view gets lower,
Oh,
your
okay.
character model actually squishes into the
Yes.
crouch
Okay. No.
even
No.
at the
No. No. No.
top.
It is on. It is on. Yes.
Um
And you get a little bit higher, right?
Yeah, so a shit ton of the platforming in that game was done assuming you would crouch jump it.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay. So it is on because okay, if they're saying that they're saying the setting was on. I guess I didn't remember the setting. But there were situations where you had to crouch into a vent, and just jumping into the vent would allow me to crouch, that
Yeah.
would explain why that worked.
mhm.
So it was forcing a crouch to happen. Okay, I get it. Yeah, because I was trying to test it manually and it wasn't working. Or not, it wasn't working, but I wasn't noticing a visual difference.
Oh,
And
it's
so,
finicky as shit if you're doing it with a controller like that.
but when we first heard about it, I was trying to do it, and I guess it's like, well, okay, the reason why is because we're doing it automatically the whole time. So yeah, that makes sense then.
Yeah, I remember playing a lot of Day of Defeat, and you'd run towards the point, and you'd sprint at the absolute max speed, and then jump, and then crouch jump, so that you would grab the flag, but have the smallest possible character while you did it as you were moving.
Is it also? But is it just about that, or is it also the height?
It changes your height
Yeah. Okay.
as you do it, so it lets you climb up to things that you wouldn't be able to climb up on.
Okay. Yeah. So that makes sense. And then there's the I think they were calling them barnacles.
Yep.
Right. That suck you up, and you can ride one up and crowbar it, and then take some fall damage because you didn't.
Yeah, or just shoot it, or throw a barrel at it, or
So I have
what
not been
you.
using my pistol for anything besides killing barnacles,
Yeah.
because anything that's not like anything that else is like I can shotgun that or crowbar it,
Mhm.
and
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
So that's how I've been making use of ammo.
The game's also like super long, like particularly for a first-person shooter because it's a single-player only game.
Okay.
Because Counter-Strike didn't exist.
Not according to HLTB, but
Pardon?
not according to HLTB.
Well,
I mean, I rather
I remember it being super long.
I took
How
into
long?
account the expected length when I was it was 12 hours is what I was kind of given.
Yeah. Okay. Was that just me thinking in my brain that it was super long for the time?
I don't know.
Because I feel like everything else was like super crazy fucking short. But I felt like that game was like 20.
I considered it based on the fact that I was like, oh yeah, that's 12. I can do that. The length.
Hold on a second. Yeah, weird. I wonder if that's been. I wonder if things like that are altered by how old they are. Like the how long to beats
Yeah.
for more popular games and how old they are.
People end up beating it way faster than initially over the years, and the number goes down.
Mm-hmm.
Could be. Certainly could be.
Because I remember it took me forever, but I was also 12 years old
Right.
when I beat that game originally. So I was much dumber than I was now. Than I was much. Fuck. Yes, I was much dumber then. Not
Yeah.
now.
Well,
Not dumb.
it looks like it's going to be much longer than, like, say, Doom, for example, right? So
Oh, Doom's chunky, man.
I felt like Doom was fast, but I don't know.
I think it's just because you enjoyed it so much.
Maybe.
'Cause Doom's
Maybe.
pretty chunky.
Doom felt quick. Yeah. Well, in any case,
It's Black Mesa's fucking goofy because um that game, how do I put this? That game completely redid the end of the game.
yeah,
So Half-Life 1 has the Zen levels,
yeah.
which are fucking terrible. They're so bad. And it's the end of the game, so it's a total bummer.
Mm-hmm.
And Black Mesa completely redesigned them from the top down, and like they're not the best, but they're a hell of a lot better than the original Zen levels.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm hearing. Yeah, I'm loving it, man. Like I'm thinking, I'm having a good time with it, and knowing the age it's from, and knowing the jank, and knowing that this is a remake of that, and knowing that there's some differences and such. It feels like a classic, feels like something old, and it feels, I'm seeing parts that I remember seeing as a kid, connecting threads in my brain.
Oh yeah.
Like I remember the animation of a scientist crawling into a vent, and then a bunch of body parts flying out of the vent.
Okay, so I want to talk to you about that. I think, like, I burst out laughing when I saw that on my stream a few days ago because he crawls in, and like 2 seconds later, a pile of torsos shoot out.
Just shoot. Yeah. It's Mortal Kombat. Like
it's instantaneous.
Femurs everywhere. Yeah. I remember that. I remember my brother playing it and cheating too, and I remember him no clipping up to a helicopter pad with a helicopter floating above it.
Come on.
So like, there's a bunch of shit that is just
Don't do that.
floating around in my brain, but for the most part, it's mostly new. It's mostly new, and I love it. I think it's great so far.
So I ask this every time, and you're one of the people I know who does it the most often, but I'll ask anyway. Are you able to put yourself back in the shoes of somebody from like 98?
I have
and
to
compare it to the other shit that was coming out in 98.
Well, so
and be like, holy shit.
No, I basically, like, I pretty much have to, like, imagine, like, okay, this was the first time we were seeing some of these features, right? This is the first time something is going so in depth and giving you such a massive, like, map, for example. Like the fact that you're traveling through the cart introduction, it's super long. And it's super just like immersive, and it's just setting the tone.
Tons of areas, and like it loads a couple times.
It loads a couple times, but that's to make you aware of like the scale of this facility. It's crazy huge, So like, it all starts to come together, and you're like, this is like technologically impressive, for the time. I definitely understand.
I feel like it was the time when.
Deal.
98 was the time when console games and PC games were the most like laughably apart in terms of scale. Because 98 was, you had 98 was like Tekken 3 and Parasite Eve and GoldenEye. No, sorry, not GoldenEye. Symphony of the Night, right? And it's like, oh man, look at Symphony of the Night. Look how good the sprites are. And it's like, look at Half-Life.
Yeah.
Half-Life is so fucking out, like
Sonic Adventure was a year later.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah. No. That was very clearly like, I'm definitely feeling, that part of it. But I also know as well that Half-Life 2 is the way bigger deal. So I know that I'm kind of like touching on the first thing, but like the thing that
I have a really
everyone cares about.
Unpopular opinion in that I think Half-Life 1 held up way better than Half-Life 2.
Oh, okay.
Because in Half-Life 2 there are so many different bits that are like physics. Oh wow, look. Oh, you can put bricks on a fulcrum and use it to jump up to the thing of this. Whoa, right? And it's annoying.
Oh, really? So is it mostly just like check out our new tech as opposed to?
Absolutely not. It is not mostly, but a lot of sequences. So Half-Life 1 is like a tech demo as a shooter, and levels are designed as tech showcases. Like, look how big this corridor can be, or look how far down you can go in this area, or look how much of this colored goo we can have. But it's none of though that tech is so old that it doesn't even register anymore.
Okay. Okay.
So Half-Life 2, it has the physics, it has the burning, it has the lighting, it has the light refracting, it has the vehicle stuff, it has the sound stuff they were doing, it has the goddamn like the antlion thing, that has the enemy AI thing going on. It's all really impressive. But I just feel like Half-Life 1 held up a little better, but I have not played Half-Life 2 in many years. So,
yeah, it's going to be a curious comparison to see Black Mesa versus Half-Life 2.